realistically, how long does it take to buy a business? And this is coming from someone who's represented sellers in selling their business and represented buyers in buying a business. And I've also gone through the process personally. The answer, 6 to 12 months. Now, I know that's a really broad timeline and it's a long expectation for closing a business, but that's the reality of it. This isn't like buying a house where you close on a house in a month or 2 months. This legitimately takes 6 to 12 months to close a business acquisition. And I've seen deals that have been as short as 4 months, and I've seen deals that have gone well over 12 months. But it just depends on obviously the size of the deal and how fast everybody is working. And the reason why it does take so long is because there's different phases to buying a business, which I'm going to go over here real quickly. But you also have all these other parties involved. It's not just you and the seller. The seller has a broker. You might have a broker or a consultant. Then you have a CPA that you're going to bring on board, an attorney you're going to bring on board. You have the lenders, the SBA lenders. And then you have the seller having all the same things. The seller is probably going to have an accountant involved. They're going to have their attorney involved. And so you have 5, 6, 7, numerous parties involved in this transaction with all these different schedules and different moving pieces and parts to this deal. So it does drag on, and what's the cliche saying? Time kills deals. And so you want to make sure you're doing your part. Anybody who's on your deal team, that they're doing their part and moving at a fast pace to get the deal done. Now, what does the process look like? Why is it taking 6 to 12 months to buy a small business? Well, I'm going to go over the phases here. I've actually categorized them out into 6 different phases. The first one being the search phase and kicking around the idea. And if I can give you one tip, one piece of advice here is don't get caught in this search phase, this loop of searching and scrolling biz buy sell and looking at deals and oh, that one looks good. The biggest piece of advice I can give to you is going to be making the decision in that very first phase, the search phase of, hey, I'm buying a business no matter what it takes. I will go through this process. I will probably go through the ups and downs of this roller coaster of emotions, and I will probably have to walk away from certain deals, or deals won't work out and start all over again. The most important thing that you can do is actually pull the trigger and decide that you are going to buy a business no matter what it takes. And so it's very important to make the decision at the search phase, and so you don't become this tire kicker of just scrolling through deals and inquiring on one here and there. You have to get very serious about it and inquire on a lot of deals, get to those 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th pages in these listings, reaching out to brokers, doing a little off market, telling your network what you're trying to do. That's when you start to create your own deal flow. So the first phase can take several months alone just finding a business. It can take several months alone to find a good business to pursue or a handful of businesses to pursue. I don't think it's a bad idea to pursue several businesses at a time. Once you do have an accepted offer, I think that's when you should focus on that one deal. But the first phase is going to be searching and don't be kicking around the idea. Actually decide to pull the trigger on this decision and to move forward no matter what happens in this process. Now, after those first few months of searching for a business, you'll start inquiring on these deals, and you'll start to notice that you have to sign an NDA on a lot of these deals to get access to this sensitive and confidential information. So you start signing all these different NDAs. You're probably looking at handfuls and handfuls of deals, or you should be if you're serious about it. And you're reviewing these business packets, and this is probably the time where you're realizing you might need some help, right? You might not understand the financials as well as you thought, or you want a second pair of eyes, or you're not understanding the operations of the business, or you don't know the industry as well as you might have thought, right? The brokers are going to send you what is called a SIM packet, a confidential information memorandum. It's going to be this long packet on the business you're looking at that's going to detail the business and really shine the light, making the business look as good as it possibly can. That's the broker's job. But this might be a good time to bring in somebody that understands the process, first of all, and understands what to look for. What are the green flags? What are the red flags? What are some growth opportunities? What are some areas of concern that you should be looking at? And that's going to be very beneficial for you to be able to sift through these deals if you're looking at a lot of them at once, to be able to start sifting through these deals. So you want to know what you're looking for and be able to scroll through those packets to be thorough, but to be able to make a decision on the business fairly quickly if you should write up an offer or not. So you're going to spend a lot of time looking through business packets, SIM packets, if you will. And so that part should take, that'll take a few months alone as well, right? So now we're at 2, 3, 4 months already, and we haven't even submitted an offer yet. And that's fairly normal, but I've seen people obviously move fast, but you want to make sure you're being thorough as well and going through the right process. This would be a good time to, like I said, bring somebody on who understands the process. This is where I come into play for a lot of deals. Sometimes people utilize my services for the actual search phase as well, which is very helpful. But once you do find a few deals that you like and you go through the sim packet, you're probably going to have a couple calls with the sellers and the seller broker, whether it's in Zoom or in person, just to get a feel to see if there's any synergies is how they call it, and just to see if you can get a feel for the business and the operations and you're comfortable. Once you're comfortable, you'll start submitting LOIs, and that brings me to phase 3. And so this is when you're going to submit the offer. An LOI, it's a letter of intent, it's a non-binding offer. It's just essentially setting the price expectations, the terms, and the timelines for the deal moving forward, right? Now, the offer that you submit in your LOI is not the actual ending offer. It's all contingent on the next phase, which is called due diligence. And so before I move into due diligence, just be aware that the LOI phase, expect negotiations, expect a few days, sometimes a few weeks, going back and forth and negotiating certain line items, whether it's the price, the terms of the deal, how you're paying. Maybe they're trying to negotiate back on some seller financing. They want to negotiate the length of due diligence. So this is when you're going to be negotiating a few line items. Again, this is when it's really helpful to have a consultant or a broker on your side to understand the game of it, if you will. Not that there's sneaky games or tricks, but people who are well versed in this industry understand how to craft things and structure things and say things to get what is best for them or their client. And so it's usually beneficial to have somebody who understands the process on your side at this phase. And then, as I said, you get an accepted LOI after maybe a few days back and forth negotiating, a few weeks back and forth negotiating, and you move into the due diligence phase. It's always a hard one to say. And so due diligence starts when an LOI has been executed on both ends, right? A signed letter of intent. And due diligence will usually last 30 to 60, sometimes 90 days, usually for a little bit larger sized deals. And so there you have it. There's a month and a half right there of just purely due diligence. And this is when the seller is going to open up the business completely for you. You can request any and all documents, ask any and all questions that you have, request legal documents, licensing, certifications, anything that you need in order to make a decision on whether you want to actually ink this deal or not, right? And so that all happens during due diligence. And this is the time where you're going to bring a CPA on board. This is a time where you're going to bring your attorney on board to ask any legal questions. They'll probably start crafting a purchase agreement if everything is looking good. But I highly recommend bringing a CPA on board. You want that stamp of approval for someone who is certified in that. It'll be very helpful, and just have a second pair of eyes on it as well. Even if you understand financials very well, I get it. Look, I know how to read the P&L statements and I understand what's going on, but even for personal side of things, I would never move forward without having somebody else who's certified, a CPA, look at the numbers, look at the tax returns for me and come back and say, Jordan, looks good. I see one thing here. Are you aware of that? I am. Okay, thank you. We're moving forward, right? So due diligence is probably going to be the most extensive phase, maybe the most extensive phase for you, the buyer, because you're going to be requesting a lot of things. And again, this is where a broker or a consultant is going to be extremely beneficial because they are going to know what to look for and what to ask for specifically. You want to make sure you're asking and requesting all the right documents and asking all the right questions so you can make a decision based off of facts in front of you. And so as due diligence wraps up, this will lead you into the next phase, phase 5, if you will, starting bank financing and starting the purchase agreement. So you're going to want to do these things simultaneously. If you haven't already started talks with an SBA lender or maybe a few SBA lenders to compare interest rates, you're definitely going to want to start doing that right now. You usually should start that in the middle towards the end of due diligence. And then you're also simultaneously going to want to have your attorney drafting up a purchase agreement because that's going to take some time as well. So you're going to go through due diligence and you're going to be starting conversations with lenders and having the conversation with your attorney to draft up the purchase agreement. I think this catches a lot of people by surprise, but the SBA process alone, just filling out the application and sending in documents to the SBA, maybe requesting other documents from the seller to send to the SBA, just that application process alone takes 4 to 6 weeks. So there's another month and a half, right? And that is going to be a lot. They're going to be asking you for resumes and your personal tax returns and your personal financial statements and well, what do your bank statements look like? And send me your background and answer this in, 2-page questionnaire for me. Write up a business plan, send me projections. So those are other things too that you'll need to prepare to do. Again, this is when a consultant or a broker is going to come in handy for you to help you craft and paint that picture in the business plan to show you know what you're doing, to show that you know the industry that you're walking into, and also putting financial projections together. You will have to put financial projections for year 1 and year 2 post-close for the SBA lender to make sure that you can show them, hey, I know the trend of this business and here's how we're going to do year 1 and year 2. So again, you should 100% have your deal team around you at this time in the transaction of buying a business. And so once that gets wrapped up, that is a long, extensive, all hands on deck process. Like I said, the SBA process 4 to 6 weeks. Your attorney's working on the side, drafting up your purchase agreement. And then, as you can imagine, there's going to be a lot of negotiation going on with you and your attorney, or you, your attorney and broker, and the seller's attorney and broker. So you've got 6 parties involved right here, negotiating line items, potentially 6 people, negotiating line items in a purchase agreement, discussing the purchase price, the terms, the reps and warranties, all these legalities inside the purchase agreement. Your lawyer is trying to protect you, their lawyer is trying to protect them. Now, this shouldn't be a fight. Hopefully you can both work together to create an agreement that you're both happy with, sign it and get the deal done. But there are going to be items, it's inevitable that there's going to be items that you're going to have to go back and forth on in that purchase agreement. Once that is all done, you move into the last phase, phase 6, if you will, and that's closing. And you might be wrapping up a few things with the bank. The bank might want one more document here. Can I see one more item over here? You need to sign this document over here. I need you to go handle this for me. And so you're wrapping up the last few things with the deal. Hopefully the attorneys are getting everything squared away in the purchase agreement. And that closing phase should, hopefully you're very close, should be a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks if things are getting stretched a little bit with people's schedules. But that should be the time when you're getting very close to signing the purchase agreement and you've got a closed deal. You now own that business, and congratulations. So I just explained that process in, 10 minutes or so, however long this video is, but it will take you 6 to 12 months. And so again, the one piece of advice I can give for buyers especially is, if this is something you want to do, you have to commit at the first phase, because you might submit an LOI and it could fall through or get denied and you're starting back from phase 1. You could go all the way to due diligence and find things you don't like, find a lot of red flags that makes you uncomfortable, walk away, you're starting back from phase 1. I have been through this process several times, multiple times, numerous times, myself and representing people on both sides, and it happens frequently, right? I've looked at a deal where we got to LOI, didn't work, walked away, found another one, got past an LOI, got almost 3/4 the way through due diligence, started the bank financing process, found something in due diligence that was very concerning, walked away, started fresh. So it happens. You just have to make sure that you are solid on your decision to buy a business. That way, when those things do happen and you have to start from scratch, you know it, you expected it to happen, and you keep moving forward, right? It's gonna be hard, but that's what hard feels like. That's why you signed up for this process. And so stick to it. That's the one thing I can say is, do not get caught in this search phase, in this loop of constantly looking. So make that decision, stick to it, and plow forward, no matter how high the highs are and how low the lows get, because it will be an emotional roller coaster. And for sellers, the best thing I can say to you is, have your documents ready, be prepared. This is an exciting moment for you. It can be very stressful, I understand, because you are running the business, you're involved in your business, and now you've got buyers barking at you, asking all these questions and requesting all these documents, your broker's in your ear. You're trying to work, you're trying to manage employees while also trying to satisfy, filling up the data room with the information that needs to be in there for the buyers. And so the best thing I can say for you is move quickly. It will benefit you. I'm not just saying that so you can get the deal done, but move quickly. It will benefit you. Get the requested information into that data room or over to your broker as quickly as you possibly can, and it'll help the deal move smooth as you go along. Make yourself available. Make sure that your broker, maybe your accountant or your attorney, make sure that they're available, not scheduling vacations in the middle of maybe really heightened phases of the transaction, because that will that will make this process go even longer. And as I said, time kills deals. The last thing you want is a buyer to be walking away because everyone's moving too slow and it's not your fault. So make sure you let your team know that going into a sale of your business. So I hope this helps explain what the process or the timeline of what it looks like to buy a business. If you have any questions around buying a business or selling a business, leave me a comment below. I'll happily answer it. If you're looking to buy a business, there should be a link in the description. I offer one-on-one services for the buy side and buying a business. If you're looking to sell your business, I represent sellers and selling their own business. So I'd be happy to hear from sellers and buyers, and I appreciate you watching. Thank you.